Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm Callie and I'm going to be going through my February TBR. It is the first of the month. I'm really excited. Weirdly enough, when I was looking back at all of my statistics for February, with it being the shortest month of the year, I expected to have the least amount of books read. No. Statistically for me, February is when I get all my reading done apparently. It's usually my highest month. It has been for the past 2 years. Not really sure why, but it is. So I have, as usual, a very typical, as I'm holding this pile so it doesn't crash to my floor, very ambitious TBR. First, per usual, I have a reread to finish up a series, and for that this month is Goddess in the Machine by Lora Beth Johnson. I read this 2 years ago, I think, when it came out. This is one of my owl crates, very fancy edition. It is a sci-fi post-apocalyptic kind of world where a young woman who wasn't cryogenically frozen, but gets stuck and is woken up like thousands of years in the future, and everyone now in this society thinks she's a goddess. So I've got both books 1 and 2. Book 1, I think I gave 3.5 stars the first time I read it. I was fully invested in the story. The thing that was really interesting was the language barrier. While it was still English, it was like a broken mix English and text-to-talk, which was so weird and very jarring to get into, but I really loved that level of detail within the story. So super excited to dive into this world again. Next, I have Fairest of All by Serena Valentino. This is similar to Twisted Tales, but I believe they are solely focused on the backgrounds of the villains. So this one is following the very first Disney princess villain, the Evil Queen. I'm excited to see if these are just as enticing and invigorating as the Twisted Tales are. Up next, I have Deep Burn by Kimberly Kincaid. I ended up reading Skin Deep by Kimberly Kincaid in January. Really loved it. So I will be continuing on the series, and I will probably end up grabbing her next series, which I believe is a medical drama series, when I see her again at a Polycon, because she is the one that bullied me into purchasing her entire I think it's Station 17 series, which was 5 books. And they were cheap, which is how I got easily bullied. But these books are awesome. They're spicy. And they have a really, at least book 1, I'm unsure about book 2. Book 1 had a really good mystery to the entire story. And I loved there was actual plot, and there was romance, and there was spice. They were all their own thing, and I really appreciated that. So I'm hoping that this will continue with the entire series. Next, I have another kind of weird Disney twisty one, and that is Isle of the Lost by Melissa de la Cruz. This book is what was the inspiration for the Descendants movies. And I've seen the first movie. It was fine. I'm intrigued as to the source material. Now, I'm not a huge Melissa de la Cruz fan, but again, I'm so intrigued by the film. The songs were elite. The plot was a little weird. So these are like the kids of all of the villains are invited to leave the island of villains to join the heroes' children at a fancy princess academy. And I don't know, I'm intrigued. That's about it. Next I have Under the Whispering Door by TJ Klune. It's not a series, but it's within the same realm of House in the Cerulean Sea. This follows essentially this waypoint for death. And that was all I got, it's like a halfway house between life and death. I was intrigued by that concept in and of itself. And I really liked TJ Klune's writing style when I read House in the Cerulean Sea, so I am naturally immediately picked this up. Next is a book that I feel kind of bad getting to this late, and that is Legend by Marie Lu. This is one of the OG YA fantasy, I believe it's dystopian series. And I have yet to get to it. I've read literally everything else by Marie Lu, except this. So I'm intrigued as to what everyone loves this series. It is one of people's staple that they throw in with Shadow and Bone, Red Queen, Throne of Glass, all of those. And I want to understand the hype. So I will be going into this. We'll see what happens. Up next, I have A Season of Sinister Dreams by Tracy Banghart. This is the same author who wrote Grace and Fury, which is one of my all-time favorite duologies. Very feminist, very strong female leads, and this is supposed to be no different. We are following the cousin of a prince and a commoner who are thrust into court together due to magic, and they both overhear this sinister plot by a greedy lord to take over the kingdom, and they're both fiercely loyal women, fiercely magical, smart women who have to team up to try and protect their kingdom and their families. And I just really love Tracy Banghart's writing style as well as her characterizations. So when I saw she was writing another female-empowered YA book, I was sold. Next, I have A River of Royal Blood. This is again, an older, not quite as old as Legend, but older YA fantasy. I believe this is a standalone, following sisters who have to battle to the death for the throne. But before their battle to the death, one of the princesses is kidnapped by unknown forces, and our story kind of goes on from there. I really like a good sibling rivalry story, and I think that the magic and the character developments could be really well done within this story, so this one has been on my radar for a while now. Next, I have Echoes and Empires by Morgan Rhodes. I picked this up last year when it dropped because I love Morgan Rhodes. She is the author of the Falling Kingdoms series, which I read a year or two ago and fell in love with. She's amazing at world building and has phenomenal characters and character relationships. Next, I have Beyond the Ruby Veil. I have a lot of shiny books this month, apparently, by Mara Fitzgerald. This is two socialites who are extremely ambitious. I've heard that this is dark, gritty, very violent for a YA book, and it is almost like Gossip Girl meets Law & Order, and I really thought that was fun, and I love a good mystery and intrigue within a story. This is very short. I think this is a duology, if I remember correctly, but I don't know. I've intrigued by the way that this book is described as two socialites who are very ambitious and very gay, who just want to climb the ladder by any means necessary, and I'm here for it. Keeping within the queer realm, I have A Dark and Hollow Star by Ashley Shuttleworth. This is a YA queer fantasy story following a exiled fae and a fury. I love the lore and concept of furies. They are super cool, super dynamic, and a exiled fae, always a good time. I've heard nothing but good things from this series. It's not completed yet, only books 1 and 2 are out, but I adore this cover. Like, look how creepy those arms are within the wings. And I want to dive so into this and be enthralled. Up next, I have All Your Twisted Secrets by Diana Urban. Now, I try and stay away from YA contemporary thrillers because they are so obnoxious. But I have heard that this breaks that down to its core and is funny, as well as actually being not predictable in any way, and is an actual good story. Not that, I didn't mean that. Not that YA thrillers aren't good stories. I just don't care for them. They're predictable and boring. I've heard the complete opposite about this, and I ended up finding this on sale at, I think, Book Outlet. So I'm willing to give it a chance. Next, I have a book that I've been meaning to read, but I have not been able to find a copy for so long, and that is Snow Falling by Jane Gloriana Villaneuva. This is the book that is based off of the story within Jane the Virgin, which is one of my all-time favorite shows. And I've yet to read this book. So this was written along with the character Jane within the TV show. And I want to love this. I've heard it's okay. It's not great. I've heard it's okay. But I'm just so excited to have, I thought that this was such a unique thing for them to do, for this TV show to actually come out with Jane's book, and I want to reward that behavior. Up next, I have Crave by Tracy Wolff. I've heard this is Twilight, but do it better. Now, I did read Twilight. I loved Twilight when I read it when they were coming out. When I was in like 7th or 8th grade up until high school, I believe is when, I think 8th grade or 9th grade is when the last book came out for me. And I loved them. I did. I fell in love with them when I was a preteen, teenager. And as I've gotten older, I have seen the wrongs that caused. Mainly the movies showed me the wrongs. Yet to finish all the movies, and I never will. But I have heard that Crave is everything that Twilight could have been. And I've been on a vampire kick lately, and I won't apologize for that. So I've heard really good things. I've heard it's like a little cringy, but overall a really good series. And this series is like 6 or 7 books long. So I'll give book 1 a shot, and we'll go from there. Next, I have One Last Stop by Casey McQuiston. This is her second. This is their second standalone romance. This is a sapphic romance. This is the same author that wrote Red, White, and Royal Blue, which I gave 5 stars when that originally came out. This involves like time travel. Like this girl is stuck on a train and she's from the 60s, and then we have our modern day girl who just keeps seeing her, and they develop this relationship. I've heard very mixed things about this book, but I'm intrigued by the concept, and I really like Casey McQuiston's writing. Next I have Before I Let You Go by Kennedy Ryan. This is me catching up on my book of the month. I am almost caught up. I have this one, and then I have Babel. I'm terrified to read Babel, but I do own it, and it'll be a March read. But for now, I'm going to read Before I Let You Go by Kennedy Ryan. I picked this as a book of the month because I love Kennedy Ryan. I'm obsessed with Kennedy Ryan. I found her through her Grip series on Kindle and fell in love with her writing. So I know that this is going to be beautifully written, and it will break my heart. I'm fully aware of that. This is a second chance romance where I believe the couple is a divorced couple with a child, and they find themselves and then they find each other again, is from what I understand the main plot of this story, and I'm really excited to dive into a brand new Kennedy Ryan novel. Next I have The Play by Elle Kennedy. This is book 3 in her Briar U series. I have been slowly reading all of these, and I love them. They're just great college sports romances, mainly hockey. So I will say I like the Briar U series, but it doesn't feel the same as the off-campus series. I do still really like this. This is following one of my favorite players from the off-campus series. This is following Hunter, who is a playboy who decides to go celibate and then finds the perfect girl for him. And he has to try and resist her. I'm intrigued. Hunter has always been one of my favorite characters because he's just such a ditzy boy. And it's just really funny to see his character development through others' perspectives, but never getting his perspective. So I'm very excited to actually be in the mind of Hunter. And the last book that I have planned for the month of February is A Curse of Queens by Amanda Bouchet. This is the 4th and final book in her Promise of Fire series that I've been reading over the past couple of months. I am so excited to jump into this. I'm really intrigued as to where book 4 is going to go, considering how book 3 ended. It wasn't a big cliffhanger. If anything, book 3 could have been the end of the series, but this is much thicker than all of the other books, and I'm so scared as to what will go wrong to incur this much book that needed to be said after that, I wouldn't say a perfect ending, but after that great ending of Heart on Fire. So I will finally be finishing this series before PolyCon. So like I said, ambitious. I have a couple other floating ones that I have kind of planned, a lot of PolyCon authors. I also have officially started my Sarah J. Maas readathon for this year. I am doing it by publication date. So I will be diving into Crown of Midnight in February as well at some point, whenever. I may listen to it. I have all the audiobooks. But that is what I have for the month of February for my TBR. So let me know down below what you're planning on reading in February in the comments down below. And please like, comment, subscribe to our channel. We post every Wednesday and Friday. And I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!